He's Seth Davis, CBS Sports Illustrated, college basketball analyst, writer, kind enough to join us throughout the tournament. Got storylines here, but let me talk about the coaching moves here first, Seth, before we get to the Final Four.
Sure.
Steve Alford, the timing of the 10-year extension with New Mexico, doesn't that basically say between the school and the coach, we're taking you off the board for any other opportunities? We're giving you 10 years. How does Alford then, less than 10 days later, take UCLA?
Only if you take the contract extension seriously in the first place, which I never do. We had Jamie Dixon on our set in Atlanta because he was rumored to be a target for USC. Not even rumored, in fact, was a target at USC, and grew up in Southern California. And right before we came on the air, and Jamie knew we were going to ask him about it. And of course, I'm the bad guy on the set, so I'm assigned that task. So as we're going on the air, Pittsburgh announces that he signs a contract extension. So, we come on and he says, "Hey, I signed a contract extension. That's it." And I said, "Okay, does that mean you're going to be at Pittsburgh next year? Like, are you telling me unequivocally you're going to be at Pittsburgh next year?" Those are separate questions. My understanding is that the contract extension was Alford's idea, and that he went and whatever he wanted to do to reaffirm it. Sometimes these guys want to take themselves off the market because people are not going to come after them. Clearly when he went to the school and asked for a contract extension, he did not know that he was going to be pursued by UCLA in this manner. So, I can't begrudge him for taking this job. It's a great job. He's going to, make a lot of money out there, and I think it's a smart hire. But I think to the fact that it exposes the fallacy of the contract extension and the quote-unquote loyalty, there's no loyalty. Ask Ben Howland about loyalty.
It just bothers me. I see it.
It should.
Les Miles has preliminary talks with Arkansas, and you're under contract at LSU. I just don't understand why these presidents, these great educators, don't understand what's going on. These guys have prenups, and you're letting them get away with this. Those kids at New Mexico were going to play for Steve Alford. They went there to play for Steve Alford, and there's reciprocation.
Well, you and I have had this conversation before, Dan, and I just, again, where was the loyalty shown to Ben Howland? Do you know that Ben Howland...
But he got paid. He's getting paid.
He's getting paid.
He got fired and he got paid.
You know what, though? So is New Mexico. Alford's got a buyout. It's in his contract. You're our coach. If you want to leave, this is how much your next employer has to pay us. These are deals. There's no loyalty.
There should not be that in there. Is there?
Why?
Because are you committed to me? I'm committed to you. I pay you if you do well, and if you don't, I'll fire you. I still have to pay you. That's
right,
business.
But if I get a better offer, I have the ability to take that.
No, there is no better offer. You're married. Do you have a clause in your contract if you have a better offer that all of a sudden you can leave?
No, I don't, but it's not a bad idea. No, I'm kidding. Where were you when I was signing the Katuba?
Did Brad Stevens get offered? Were they in contract negotiations?
Not even remotely close. Look, the first two calls that everybody's got to make are to Shaka and Brad, and that's it. There was never any interest. The contract negotiations, I think that was actually a mistake that was immediately removed from the website, and then some blogs out in L.A. Somebody. John Crispin out in L.A., I guess, is a former player, said that Brad Stevens is in Westwood and they're negotiating for $3 million a year. So it was never he was never going to.
They went to Indiana to interview him, didn't they?
No, they did not. Somebody tracked a private plane on FlightTracker.com because if a private plane is going from Los Angeles to Indianapolis and back, there's only one possible explanation for it. There's only one person who might want to fly from L.A. to Indianapolis and back on a private plane. It never happened. It was never close with Brad. There was third-party contact. Hey, any chance here? No chance here. Moved on. I've been hearing Alford's name bandied about for this job for quite some time, which is why I was kind of surprised, when he did that contract renegotiation. I was like, I guess he wants to stay in New Mexico for UCLA. That's odd.
Yeah, but he knew that Ben Howland was out. I mean, we all knew that they were going to fire Ben Howland.
Yes, but he didn't know. I don't know that he knew that UCLA was coming after him.
You didn't have to sign the contract extension. If you were interested in that job, you could have held out. You could have used it for even more money if you wanted to.
Right. You know what, Dan? I don't even know that it was even signed. I know it was announced. I don't know what the hell happened there. Listen, I don't begrudge him the move. I really don't. To me, it's all a frickin' public game. It's like when they say, well, we never talked to Brad Stevens. He was never contacted. We didn't offer him. Like Debbie Yout in North Carolina State offered that job to everybody except for you and me before she settled on Godfrey. Well, we didn't contact him. No, you didn't contact him, but the search firm you hired contacted his agent or his buddy or somebody and asked if he was interested. I mean, it's all a silly little game. These contracts, it's all, hey, Ben Howland over the last 11 years went to more Final Fours than Steve Alford has NCAA tournament victories. And Ben Howland was fired. So there's no loyalty anywhere, I mean, you made a great move leaving ESPN to do what you're doing, and, we're all it's like George Carlin said, everybody works just hard enough not to get fired and gets paid just enough not to quit.
He's Seth Davis from CBS Sports Illustrated joining us in the Dan Patrick Show. I at least lived up to my contract. Florida Gulf Coast Andy Enfield, is he number one guy for USC?
I know that he's interested in USC, and I know that there's been some sort of type of back channel contact. Now, where it is and how serious it is, I honestly don't know. I know he's interested, and he would be interested. If Andy Enfield is worthy of getting hired by USC, I would think that Scott Sanderson, the coach at Lipscomb, would probably get any job that he wanted because he beat him twice. I mean, there's an expression, I'm sure you've heard it with athletic directors. They want to win the press conference. So hiring Andy, as much as I think of Andy and what they did, and I had as much fun with it as everybody, they finished second in the Atlantic Sun. They call a little lightning in the bottle, and now somebody wants to win the press conference. I'm thinking, well, maybe you should supposed to win your league. Like I give Dan Guerrero credit at UCLA. It's a little harder to win the press conference when your guy just lost to Harvard. But if he believes that Steve Alford's the right man for the job, whether or not they beat Harvard in that game is really not that relevant. So in that sense, I give him credit.
You worked for CBS, road to the Final Four. Did CBS handle the Kevin Ware injury appropriately?
Yes, I was in the building yesterday, and I was very proud of my bosses and my colleagues. I think everybody would have to agree. They showed the replay. They may have. I haven't talked to the producers, but my sense is they may have had a better angle on it from a floor level camera. I don't know, but they showed it a couple of times, and that was enough that everybody saw it. And the fact that they came back to the desk at halftime and decided not to show it, they did not show it again during the broadcast. And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, ESPN never showed it. So I admire the restraint on that. I mean, it was a very, very – I've never seen anything like that, Dan. I mean, I was actually in RFK Stadium the night that Theismann broke his leg. I mean, that was a 240-pound linebacker landing on it. This is a young and strong and athletic, college sophomore just jumping up and landing on his leg and is snapping like a twig.
But if he's a marquee player,
yeah,
don't you have to show it maybe a little more because
No, that's to me that's just gratuitous. First of all, we know what world we live in, so anybody who really wants to see it or feels like they need to see it can go online and find it. I heard that there was that Getty got a picture of the bone sticking out of the leg. I mean, if you really need to see that, I didn't need to see it. I mean, everybody was vomiting and couldn't even look at the thing. And
did the floor have anything to do with that injury?
The floor?
It's a raised floor.
No,
that had nothing to do with it.
No, he jumped up and landed bad. It was just,
okay.
I don't like to speculate. I mean, I wonder if maybe there was some type of, stress reaction already in the leg. I mean, it's one thing if this is an 85-year-old man with brittle bones, you know what I'm saying? It was just, it was awful. And the way that the young man on the ground, the fact that he still has the presence of mind to shout to his teammates, win the game, and just the raw emotion of Russ Smith. I mean, Shane Bohannon went down. I thought he separated his shoulder. He was holding it, and I'm like, holy cow, he's really hurt. I didn't even realize that Kevin Ware was down. I mean, it was just an awful scene, and you can say I'm towing the company line, and if I thought otherwise, I wouldn't say it. But the fact is, I was very proud of how CBS handled it.
Yeah, I was too. I think you got to be careful. It is gratuitous. I thought that you could have shown it one more time with the injury, but from a distance. And if you wanted to do it at halftime, if Gumby wanted to do it and say, we're going to take a break when we come back, we'll show you the injury. So
you may want to look away.
Yeah, so you at least have a buffer there instead of all of a sudden you're watching and you're sort of listening and then you see it again.
I think we'd both agree you should err on the side of caution.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you're gonna be faulted, hey, let's be criticized for not. I'd rather be criticized for not showing it than be criticized for showing it too often.
As far as the games, which we have a little bit of time to get into them this week, but how does this all play out? Who's playing for the title on Monday night?
Well, again, the narrative of the season was supposed to be no dominant team, but you fooled me because Louisville is playing out of its gourd.
Well,
right
they were
now.
better no matter what happened with Kevin Ware. They were winning that game. Now, they may have been energized, and I give Pacino credit to bring them together to say, now do it for him, but they were the better team by far yesterday.
I mean, Kevin Ware, he's not one of their main guys. I mean, he's an important role player. He'd really been improving. That was the disappointing thing is, over the second half of the season, he made great strides and gave him another athlete on the wing. But they're so deep and athletic. And, I really think the difference is Gorgie Jang. I mean, here's a 6'11" kid who's just a great shot blocker, and he's got a very, very high basketball IQ, Dan. And it's unusual because a lot of kids, when they come here from Africa, a lot of these African kids did not grow up playing basketball.
Played soccer.
Yeah, they play soccer and they come to it. So they never really look fluid and have a feel for an understanding of the game. He thinks the game at a really, really high level. And then the other storyline I really think is, in terms of Michigan, is the improvement of Mitch McGarry in the post.
Tough kid, yeah.
He just gives them a dimension they really didn't have during the season. If they shoot the ball well, they ought to beat Syracuse because they have a lot of guys who can shoot jump shots, but obviously that zone's going to be hard to deal with.
Great to visit with you again. Thanks, Seth. We'll catch up again.
Dan. Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
I love you, man.
Love you too, Seth.
Bye-bye.
Seth Davis from CBS Sports Illustrated.